Perfect. We're going to get started first with lesson A. We're going to have the name of the lesson A is traditional things. So this week our topic is going to be world cultures, but the initial conversation is going to be around traditional things. Okay, and when I say traditional things, many things come to to my mind. First, I want to open the conversation with an exercise. And this is going to be a more, mm, instead of a grammar exercise or a vocabulary exercise, this is going to be more like a brainstorm to try to warm up this Monday, start of the week. Um, especially like just activating your English side of the brain. And these are the instructions on how to write about this. So choose a city or a region in your country and write why it's known for. So it could be any city or any region in the country that you think you know something about. Even if you don't, I mean, you have the internet, so you have the time to go ahead and find some facts or data about the city or region you want to talk about. And you're going to be able to do a little summary where you are providing ideas on why it's known for, right? So, let's say, Acatenango, for example. I visited Acatenango uh, a couple of months ago. So it's a place that is well known because of the volcano, of course, but additionally because of the land is very productive with coffee beans. So if I want to talk about that specific city or town, well, I'm going to talk about the volcano. I'm going to mention the coffee and I'm going to mention a little of my experience there, right? So that's just an idea on how that work. Uh, you could choose anything. I mean, you could talk about Cali if you wish, right? Or if you want to talk about Ben in general and mention a few things. So I will give you the opportunity to write it first and then talk about it. Okay. There is a reason why we do that sometimes. There are certain exercises in which I just give you the idea and I ask you to be spontaneous and maybe talk about it on the go, right? And there are some other moments where I ask you to write it first. I know that sometimes that can be a bit boring. I know, I understand that, but I want you to remember something, okay? And I want you to remember that writing is learning how to think. When you write, your processing in your brain is a little different. You have to think what you want to say. You have to organize your ideas. You have to organize your words. And then you put it in the paper or you put it in the computer. When you're talking, sometimes it's hard to find your mistakes because, I mean, you're so excited or so nervous about talking, and it's hard for you to do your own review and maybe make your corrections. Sometimes you just make the mistake and on the go, and it's cool. Sometimes that is necessary for you to maybe overcome the fear of public speaking. Yeah, sometimes it's necessary, but there are other times, like the time that we spend in class, where thinking, learning how to organize your thoughts, maybe self-correcting is really important. And that occurs when we're writing. Uh, the writing process demands a lot from us. I will say more than the speaking process because you have a clear idea first. Uh, but that's the reason why I normally ask you to write it first, and then maybe I call your name and ask you to share it with the rest of the class. Because at least you process your idea a little bit better, and that's one way. I know that in real life you won't always have the opportunity to write something first and then explain it to the public. But since this is a learning process, the one that we're going through here in this class, I will ask you to Do that today, okay? Choose the city in your region or in your country and write why it's known for. What are some of the characteristics of that city? And you are going to have a time limit. You are only going to have 3 minutes to describe it. So this is the process. You're going to write something about that city. You're going to describe it and describe its characteristics as well as you can. And then I'm going to be calling your names, and you can either read that or complement that with your speech. Okay, but make sure to participate. If that's what I mean. Make sure to participate. So 3 minutes is starting now. Let's see how that goes. Where you live, not necessarily. Wh the country where you live, yeah, probably because this is the place that you know the better. Okay. You can write about Guatemala if you wish. That's not a problem. Or you can write about the United States. That's not a problem. It can be either or. It's just that it has to be a place that you kind of know. Like for example, if I talk about China, I do not know much about China, so I probably wouldn't be uh writing about that. Uh, but yes, you can do it in your country or in your region, maybe the south. Wow. Okay, good. Thank you, thank you. Let's go and see this. Okay, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to try to fix or polish your answer. And then I'm gonna be calling your names and I want to hear about the place that you have selected. Okay, so let me call out some names. I'm gonna start with the list as it is here. So Oscar is gonna go first. Liz is next. Then I'm gonna hear about Luisa, Karen, Daniel, and Frisela. You're gonna be the last one. So Oscar, I'm gonna put your text on the screen and tell me uh what is the place that you are talking about?
The place I talk about is Houston, Texas.
Okay,
I
perfect.
like to watch. I don't know if you hear about the oxen or bueyes in español. It's the
Yeah, I know.
Longhorn. They have a big cuernos
Horns, yes.
in a yeah the horn. in and I like to watch when I go because my job is I go to different places a day, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I pass for those the ranchos, como le dicen,
Mm-hmm.
and and I saw and watched those longhorn. It's a big longhorn they have, and I like it, and they they care a lot those oxen because those oxen is a lot of um the price is too expensive.
It's expensive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
And
So
never in my life I saw this before because in Guatemala I
yeah, we don't have any of that.
don't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let me show you guys a picture of an oxen maybe.
Oh, the Longhorn.
The Longhorns. So do you think it's similar to this?
Yeah, but other ones is I think a little more uh
Like
long.
longer?
Yeah, longer.
Wow. Let's see if I see another one that is kind of exaggerated, but
That one, like
okay.
that one.
Yeah, that's
And
definitely
there's
something
a
that you
different.
normally don't see here.
Yeah, it's a different styles too. It's something sometimes I look something straight, something look like that one you sure.
hmm That's right. Okay, perfect. So we can say that that area is known for the different oxen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate it. Thank you for giving us that example. Good job.
Okay.
Let's go with Liz. Liz and then Luisa. Liz, tell us a bit more of the place that you're describing.
Okay. In this occasion, Petén,
Mm-hmm.
specific for the ticals
Mm-hmm.
or for its pyramids
Mm-hmm.
and templos,
Uh-huh.
fauna, flora, River La Pasión. I like the famous Blue Crater.
Mm-hmm.
This is a place to swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And the Flores Lake.
Perfect. How many times have you traveled to Cráter Azul?
Once.
Once, okay? And were
Uh,
you able to swim in the blue water?
yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Yes, but then it's a big, big place. It has so many places, but this is
Mm-hmm.
a very famous one recently. Good job. Let's go with Luisa, then with Karen, and then Daniel, and then I'll move to Friseida. So, Luisa, tell us a little bit of the places you're describing.
I think that Antigua Guatemala is a beautiful place
hmm
that has a lot of colonial houses
hmm
and club streets. And I think that these two things are to be special this little city.
hmm
And the weather, I think that is good. And only that.
Okay, perfect. I think you
Oh, it's
described
a
it.
little expensive too.
Yes, I mean because it's
Yes.
very like touristy, so that's why I guess that prices that are like elevated.
Yes.
Perfect. But I think you did a very good job describing the city. It's this is pretty much why the city is known, right? Colonial
Mm,
houses, the cobbled streets, like that means that the stones in the street, right? And I think that the weather is something that is very nice as well because the weather is it's pretty much the same throughout the year. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. So I think it's like a very fresh kind of weather. So good
yes.
job
Even
describing.
when it's rainy, is the how do you say calor? Hot,
hmm
no,
Yeah, yeah, the heat. Uh-huh.
the heat. Yeah. For me, it's good, but it's too expensive to live there.
Yeah, I know. Maybe just visiting a few times, but not living
Yes.
there. You're
Thank you.
right. No problem. Thank you. Let's go with Karen, and then I'll go with Daniel. So Karen, go ahead and tell us a bit more of the place that you're describing. Karen, sorry, I don't know if you're speaking. Hello, hello. Want to move on just because I want. Okay,
I'm sorry. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. No problem.
Okay. I like my country. Guatemala City is the most beautiful city in the world. Um, they have a lot of places to visit, explore. I don't know how to say that one.
Culture?
Mm, culture. And the food is very good, especially my mom's food.
Hmm.
And I
Of
wanted
course.
to add I love for this and how do you say the Holy Week
Hmm.
and the colors and everything over there. I love that.
Okay, perfect. I think you described very well Guatemala City. That's very colorful. It has a lot of tradition,
The,
especially the food. I
yes,
think it's one of the things why it's known for. And yes, Holy Week, right, is a very big thing here. So good job. Thank you very much. Let me go with Daniel. Daniel, what's the place that you're talking about, and you can provide some insights on why it's known for.
It's Zacatepec. It's mainly known for Antigua Guatemala. That it's full of like colonial style houses.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Antigua Guatemala. It's Zacatepec is not that big, but I think that the most known place, if we want to call it, is Antigua Guatemala. Definitely, that's for sure. Let me go with Friseida, and then I'm gonna give the opportunity to Thunder. So Friseida, let's go ahead and do. I received your answer via chat, so if you can read it, please.
¿Me escucha?
Yeah, can hear you.
Kayala is known for its very beautiful streets, its tranquility, and for some sculptures, Kayala has also become a tourist place, but it is a bit expensive.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yes. Thank you very much. Gayala, it's a place in the city which is really nice, but I think that it's very crowded sometimes, and it has, I think, become in the latest years a very, as you said, a kind of a touristy kind of location. Good job. I think everybody is doing a very good job. Let's see if you have any ideas, Sander, any ideas to describe? Sander, can you hear me? What place are you going to describe?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Maybe a good place for visit here in Guatemala would
Mm-hmm.
be would be like Antigua Guatemala
Mm-hmm.
because because Antigua Guatemala has great places to visit,
Mm-hmm.
and beautiful streets, and I don't know, maybe antiguas casas, o sea, no, ¿cómo es? O sea,
Old houses. Uh-huh.
más que todo sería como que las construcciones se parecen como las de antes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can say
¿Se podría hacer eso?
old buildings, old constructions. Yes, you can say that.
Maybe. So, uh, old buildings and only that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds perfect. Exactly right as a good description of Antigua Guatemala. Very good. Excellent, guys. So everybody selected their own plays, the plays that they think that you guys thought that you knew about, and that's good. Okay, so we're gonna use that to start our little exercise. Now, I want to expand the exercise a little bit more, and now we're not talking about just um our country or the region that we know. We're going to do a little investigation, and I want you to talk about certain countries, okay? And this is going to be an introduction to the reading that we're going to have in the next pages. So I hope that you do your research, and maybe we can see if you find some of the information that we're going to be talking about in the next slides. Okay, so here are the instructions for this. Now you do have to use the internet this time because I guess that some of these countries or some of these areas are not going to be known for some of you. So I'm giving you permission to use the internet and maybe find some facts or some ideas, okay? So what do you know about each country? If you know about these countries, go ahead and write whatever you think you know, and that's fine, okay? But if you're out of ideas, maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't know too much about Australia. You just know maybe one thing or two. You may go to the internet and maybe use a little bit of whatever Google says to complete your answer. Okay. So the final idea is to have uh, different points of view, yeah, about South Korea, different ideas that you researched about, different ideas from Peru, different ideas from Japan, and different ideas from Australia. Because these are going to be the four countries that we're going to be talking about within the next minutes, and I would like to have like a proper introduction. Now we're going to do it through a collaborate board, so you can go ahead and add some images, okay? So I want you to use one note per country. Okay, so here are our countries. Our countries are South Korea, Peru, Japan, and Australia. So I'm gonna write something about South Korea. I'm gonna add an image and I'm gonna post it. And that's one. Then I'm gonna do the same thing with Peru, and then that's two. The same thing with Japan. So you always have the opportunity to look for an image, and in the text, you're going to write what you found out about each country, okay? So if you think you know about the South Korean culture, don't look for it on the internet. Go ahead and write it. But if you think you need a little help, just a mini paragraph. I'm not asking you to do a research or a huge paperwork on South Korea. I'm just asking you to do a few words, okay? You only have 250 characters as well. ¿Ok? No pueden pegar tampoco un gran texto de Google porque si no, no les va a caber aquí. Solo nos da para 250 caracteres. Es decir, tiene que ser una información bastante condensada. Like just the very important things about South Korea, the very important things about Peru, Japan, and Australia. So let's go ahead and do that now. You may start pasting your ideas as soon as you have the answer, okay? No tienen que esperar a nada más. Si ya tienen su idea, la postean y pasan al siguiente país. If you're ready with that idea, go to the next country. If you're ready with that idea, go to the next country, and that's it. If you need help, go ahead and feel free to use the internet in that case. No nos vamos a quedar aquí toda la hora, ¿verdad? So I'm gonna set a time limit. When we reach that time limit, we're gonna review the answers that have arrived, and then move on to the next part. Okay, so I see that you're posting some of these. I just want to ask you to remember to put some description on the images so I don't have to guess. I'm assuming that this is Japan, right? This is I think this is Peru, yeah. So maybe if you're describing something, that would be great. So here I have use a unique language and its own writing system. Okay, perfect. And is this Korean? I guess so. Yeah, looks like Korean. So if you can help me adding some details so I can know exactly what you're describing, that's great. Okay, Australia Zoo, very good. Okay, the most famous spot in Peru. Yeah, probably yes. Okay, I see more things arriving about Peru and from about Japan, I guess. The Fuji Mount, Tokyo. Hey, Disneyland in China. Okay, very good. I think China is not in the list, but it's interesting to know. I didn't know that there was a Disneyland in China. Oh, that's new for me. Sydney. Okay, yes, this is Australia. Very good. Very good. Anything else about Australia? I see I see many things about Japan and Peru. I think Machu Picchu is one of the most famous places in Peru, but what what do you know? Okay. The Opera House in Australia. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for providing the name of that because I think we have seen that picture and we associate that with Australia, but many of us maybe didn't know about the name. Okay. Okay. The Shinkansen is the best train in Japan. Interesting. I didn't know about that either. Very good. I'm gonna wait for maybe one or two ideas more, and we're gonna move on to the actual reading. the Galapagos. Okay. Peru and Ecuador. Interesting. Interesting. Lots of interesting things about that island as well. Okay. At least I think we have a general idea of what's happening in these countries, right? So you did your research and you kind of were able uh, to investigate more, and at least our brains are prepared for what's coming next. Now we are going to spend some minutes reading, and that's I think the most that we're going to be able to do here. But we have four different regions that we're going to talk about, and these four regions are the ones that you were investigating a little bit. So, for example, South Korea, Peru, Japan, and Australia, they have certain characteristics that I think that we need to know. Um, thank you very much. And we're gonna see if there are any of the things that you mentioned in the readings that we're gonna have. So let's pay attention to this next part, and I hope that you can also participate. Either if you're reading with me out loud or if you're just listening, I hope that you are paying attention. And as I always recommend, have your dictionary next to you. If there is any word or phrase that you think you need to make sure what's the meaning, go ahead and access to your dictionary. Feel free to uh, do your research. And that's one great way of just, of course, feeling better. Um, South Korea. We're going to talk about South Korea, and this is the topic, what not to miss. Okay, so if you're visiting South Korea, what not to miss. Okay, we asked people, what's one thing you shouldn't miss on a visit to? Okay, so this is a great question, even for us. Let's say that you have a visitor to your city or to your country, and they are asking you for ideas. Okay, and they ask you, okay, what's one thing that I should not miss? And I think that everybody will have a different opinion about it. So let's talk about South Korea then. South Korea and the one thing that we should not miss. I would like to have four volunteers. The first one is going to help me reading about South Korea, and the rest is going to help me reading about the other three countries. So who would like to start? You can raise your hand, unmute your microphone, or send me a chat or anything. Who would like to start reading? Hey, Karen, go ahead. Liz, you're second.
So,
Oscar. Go ahead.
okay. What not to miss? We asked people what is one thing you so no miss on a visit to South Korea. South Korea? South Korea?
South Korea.
South Korea. Oh, Korean food. We have so many different dishes. One typical dish is kimbap. It's made with rice and vegetables and wrapped in dry seaweed. And it's eaten,
Eaten.
eaten cold. It's delicious.
Perfect. Perfect. Karen, have you tried kimbap before?
I think so.
Or
I
have you only tried sushi? Because they are
yeah
similar.
yeah. I tried sushi, but the one I like is California.
Okay. California roll. Huh?
Yes, kind of similar to that one because I see they have the rice
Mm-hmm.
and the vegetables. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. So here's the first idea, guys. The first idea is South Korea. And this is one thing that Minhee Park is the person who is answering this. So Minhee Park says, okay, this is one thing that if you come to Korea, you cannot miss. We have a lot of food, and this is one of the best that you should try. Okay, so we have that. The next is going to be Peru, and I'm going to ask Liz to read this one. The next, I think, is going to be Japan. That's going to be Oscar. And the last one is going to be Australia, and that's going to be Luis. So, Liz, you can go ahead and read more about Peru.
Well, Peru has some beautiful handicrafts. A lot of them are exported nowadays, and they're sold all over the world. But it's still worth visiting a local market. These earrings are made locally. They're made of silver. Elena Camacho.
Perfect. Okay. So we have another perspective. Okay. So you guys were saying Machu Picchu and everything. So that's one thing, but Elena says, okay, you should also pay attention to the beautiful handicrafts, right? There are a lot of handicrafts and many are being exported. You should not miss like buying or getting some handicrafts. Let's go ahead and read about Japan. This time I'm going to ask Oscar. Oscar, can you go ahead and help me reading about Japan?
I need to read the question first or not?
No, the question is the same. We are always asking
Okay.
people one thing that you should not miss, and just read Japan so we can know what's the thing that we shouldn't miss if we get there.
Okay. Japanese festival like the Sapporo Ice Festival, that's really worth saying. It's held every February. They have all these sculptures that are carved out of ice, and they are carved by team from all over the world. It's amazing.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So this is the opinion of somebody named Sachio Ito, okay? And that person says, okay, if you come to Japan, this is one thing that you should not miss. And he's talking about an ice festival, which is interesting. I didn't think about Japan and ice. I did not connect those ideas, but this is what we can see here. Let's go ahead and do number um 4. This is Luisa. Luisa, let's know more about Australia.
Oh, you should go to a performance of traditional Aboriginal music. They play this instrument. It's called didgeridoo. It's made out of a hollow piece of wood painted by hand. It makes a really interesting sound.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So, this, guys, is the summary that we have about those countries, right? So they are basically describing a few things. I know that in these countries, as you investigated, there are so many things to see, right? You can go ahead and visit Sydney, or you can go to the theater, right? Or the opera theater. You can go this place, or you can go to Machu Picchu. I mean, there are several places that we can visit. But these are very interesting because I think they are out of the ordinary, right? So we're asking local people, in this case, Robert Flynn, and we asked them, what is one thing that you could not miss on a visit to these countries? And every country has something very specific we talked about. So I want for the next exercise, I want to um I wanted to pay attention to the readings one more time because you are going to have to answer some questions about it, okay? So the countries below, what do you know about each country? We already did that. Number 2, what aspect of their country culture does each person talk about? Okay, so remember, every person gave their own perspective. These are people that are local to their countries, right? So we asked a Korean person to talk about South Korea, and that person said, okay, so this is the aspect of the culture that you should not miss. I want you to write about those, okay? So maybe you do not remember them. That's okay. I'm going to go back and I'm going to show the readings again and I'm going to talk about those aspects. And I hope that you're taking notes. When we finish reviewing those and maybe talking about certain interesting facts, you can go ahead and write this, okay? So for this activity, you are going to have to write about every person's aspect of their culture, uh, the one that they talked about, okay? So, for example, just to refresh your memory, the first person, which is Minhee Park, she said, Okay, if you come to South Korea, the one aspect of the culture that you should not miss is the gastronomy, the food, right? And specifically, one typical dish as the kimbap. Okay, and the kimbap, as you can see, it is very common in this place, and it is very similar to the Japanese sushi. Okay, so I don't know if you have tried it. I think I like it. I tried it maybe like a month ago or less. Um, and I think that kimbap is really delicious. I love sushi. Sushi is one of my favorite foods. But I think that I really like kimbap as well. I mean, I think that uh the 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 flavors are similar, but I don't know, this the structure, the consistency of the food is a little different. They're both delicious. So aspect of the food to aspect of the culture to remember about South Korea is this. Okay, so that person is even telling us, okay, it's made with rice, vegetables, wrapped in dried seaweed. Seaweed is alga, so it's wrapped in seaweed. So you have that. Another one, Peru. What is the aspect of the culture that Elena Camacho is asking us to pay attention to? Well, Peru is full of some beautiful handicrafts or manualidades, okay? So a lot of them are exported nowadays and they are sold all over the world, okay? But this is still worth visiting the local market. These earrings, the one that you see here, are made locally. They are made of silver. Silver is plata, okay? The metal, the plata. Perfect. So that's one thing. This is the aspect of the culture that Elena Camacho is asking us to remember. Next one. What is the aspect of the culture that Sachio Ito is asking us to remember or to pay attention from Japan? Well, in this case, is not uh, the Lego store of Japan, is actually a a Japanese festival named the Sapporo Ice Festival. That is really worth seeing. This phrase means realmente vale la pena ver. It's really worth seeing. Now, when does this happen? This happens every February, or it's held every February, right? Se lleva a cabo o es llevado a cabo cada febrero. That's the translation for this expression, okay? So pay attention how they are using this word. It's held every February, okay? Now they have all these sculptures that are carved out of ice. This is a very important word for this context because if you don't know what the word carve or the verb or the adjective carved out, then it's going to be complicating to understand the rest of the text. The word carve, if you go to the dictionary, it originally we can see it as a verb. Carve means esculpir. Okay. Now, if we see this, these sculptures are carved out. Ese es el past participle. Son esculpidas. Estas esculturas son esculpidas de hielo. Okay, so this is not stone. This is not another material. It's ice. It is ice. So they are carved. No, so we have the verb again. They are carved by teams from all over the world. It's amazing. Okay, so this would be very interesting to know or and to see maybe in person. More ideas. Let's see number three, which is number four, which is Australia. This is the very last one. Now, instead of talking about Sydney or the ocean or the dangerous animals that we know that Australia has, Robert Flynn is saying that one of the things that we should not miss is the Aboriginal music, right? You should go to a performance of traditional Aboriginal music. It says they play this instrument. It's called the didgeridoo, and this is like a very long flute. It's made out of a hollow piece of wood. Hollow means vacío or hueco, hollow piece of wood, and painted by hand. It makes a really interesting sound. I don't know, guys, if you have ever heard uh didgeridoo sound before, but I'm gonna present it to you today. So you can see what's like, and you can hear it. Just give me a second. Okay. So let me share the sound, and I'm gonna play just a few seconds. This is going to last 3 minutes and 39 seconds. We're not gonna hear all 3 minutes of it, but at least you're gonna be out of here with a very good idea of this. I mean, this is an Aboriginal performance. This is Lewis Burns, which is an Aboriginal Australian artist, and this is a very, very traditional didgeridoo flute. And it is a very kind of, it's like a flute, but at the same time it's very percussive. So you will see, you will hear it. Okay, and that's the sound, the actual sound of a flute. This one looks like it's more polished. It has more paint, less maybe Aboriginal, but it's still interesting to know. Okay, so now let's go to the exercise. The exercise says, okay, from all the countries that we just reviewed, what are the aspects that each person is highlighting of their culture? Okay, so let's see if you can remember those. And for that, you have 3 minutes and 30 seconds just to report back what you saw they did. Okay, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Do it in on your part as possible. If you don't have access to your Nearpod, or maybe it's not working for you, you may go ahead and do it in the chat, in the Zoom chat, if you still like to participate. So 3 minutes starting now. You have 30 seconds to polish your answers. If you're ready, if you think you're ready, go ahead and just send whatever you have. Good, time's over. Let's verify some of your ideas just to make sure that we're all on the same page. South Korea, typical dish, or food in general, kimbap, and the preparation were rice and vegetables, okay? Peru, beautiful handicrafts, earrings of silver, right? The Sapporo Ice Festival in February, sculptures carve out of ice. Great summary, yes. Traditional Aboriginal music with instrument didgeridoo. Okay, perfect. Let's see more. Typical dish kimbap, earrings or handicrafts, ice festival, very good, and in Australia, we just have the Aboriginal music. Food, typical dish, beautiful handicrafts, and we just missed Japan and in Australia. Here, food, handicrafts, ice festivals, and music performance. Okay, perfect. I think that as a summary, this is great. You did it very, very well. Now, let's do another extension of the exercise based on the same thing, okay? Now, I want you to take a look at some of the expressions. People said, you eat kimbap cold. Now, she or the person who was describing this use a different word or a different order of words, okay? So I want you to help me rewriting those things, but keeping the same meanings, okay? For example, you eat kimbap cold. That's the original idea. Now, the way that is in the text, you will see that it's a bit different. So let me go back to kimbap and show you that. So it says kimbap here. It's eaten cold. Okay, so if you see, it's the same idea. We are just organizing the words a bit different. Okay, you eat kimbap cold, kimbap, and then you have the sentences. I'm sharing with you the slides just for you to find those phrases. For example, here we're talking about handicrafts, right? They are sold all over the world, okay? People make earrings like this locally. These are, let me go back. Okay, a lot of them are exported nowadays. They are sold over the world. Okay, these earrings are made locally. So you see, there is same idea, but the expressions are a little different. Why I'm just sharing them with you and giving you examples. So just as I show you these two, you are going to find the other two as well. And I'm gonna. Okay, so the exercise is supposed to make you think and go back to the text. So I'm giving you access to the text, even though you are not going to have access to it on Nearpod. You will have access to it on WhatsApp. Okay, let's do the exercise. There's a time limit for this one as well, and it's 3 minutes for it. Now, you have to rewrite it. Si no le encuentran, ¿verdad? Forma, vayan al texto. Go back to the text and find the phrase there. En el texto sí están las frases tal y los verbos tal y como los necesitamos. Si ya podemos identificar cómo se reescribiría esto sin necesidad de ver el texto, go ahead and do it. But if you have the need of accessing to the text, I sent it to WhatsApp. So you can go ahead and maybe look it from your phone and see if you can make some adjustments from there. Go ahead and just review those phrases then, and that's how we're going to end our class today. You eat kimbap cold. Kimbap, it's eaten cold. Okay. Ajá. Aquí el it está de más en el sentido de que allá estaba utilizado así, si se dan cuenta, porque no estaba la palabra kimbap. Cuando no tenemos obviamente el sujeto ahí escrito, ¿verdad? Dice aquí, it's eaten cold. Entonces usamos el pronombre. We use the pronoun. Por eso el pronombre sustituye al nombre o sustituye al sustantivo, ¿verdad? En nuestra otra oración, la idea era la misma, solo que sí estaba la palabra kimbap escrita. Entonces, cuando ya la tenemos, no necesitamos escribir el it, ¿verdad? Porque si no pareciera como que la oración entonces está peleando los dos sujetos, kimbap e it. Aquí no se usó porque ya veníamos hablando de kimbap desde arriba. So there was no need to use the word kimbap again. Just it is fine. Okay, great. But if you did that, that's okay. That was a very good starting point. Muy bien punto de inicio. Okay, vamos con la otra. Perdón. Solo para darle las respuestas correctas. Earring like this. O sea, estamos hablando de hacer los aretes de forma local. Y la frase que estaban utilizando es earring like these are made locally. Estas eran las palabras que nos hacían falta para completar. Are made locally. Earrings like these are made locally. La misma idea que aquí, ¿verdad? People make earrings like this locally. Earrings like these are made locally. Aretes como estos son fabricados localmente. Son fabricados. Noten cómo la frase cambia, ¿verdad? La gente fabrica estos aretes localmente. Y la otra forma es, estos aretes son fabricados localmente. Son las mismas ideas. En español es exactamente igual. Vamos a ver, dice a lot of handicrafts y estamos hablando de exportarlas. Ok. Y esa estaba también ahí en la de Perú. Dice, they are sold all over the world. Okay. Or they are exported all over the world. Okay. Very good. Uh-huh. Made of silver. And a lot of them are exported all over the world. Y si lo quieren agregar, ¿verdad? They are exported and sold all over the world. ¿Qué otra frase para la 4? Las esculturas. Teams from all over the world carve the sculptures. Los equipos de todo el mundo vienen y esculpen las esculturas. Las esculturas entonces son esculpidas por equipos de todo el mundo. Ok. ¿Dónde dice eso de esculpido? Vamos a ver si tenemos alguna referencia. Ok. Vamos a ver, dice, they are carved by teams from all over the world. Ok. Entonces serían acá, sculptures are carved by teams from all over the world. No sé si esto les parece familiar, pero nosotros hace poco vimos un tema un, un tanto parecido, en la que utilizábamos, ¿verdad? Un verbo, en este caso el verb to be, y lo combinábamos con el past participle. Y esa era la voz pasiva. Habíamos visto passive voice, solo que en su momento vimos past passive voice. Por ejemplo, ¿se acuerdan con las noticias? Decimos, ¿verdad? A bag was found on the bus, ¿verdad? A bag was found on the bus. Eso era el past passive, porque era el verb to be en pasado, ¿verdad? Was. Y el siguiente verbo era el pasado participio, el past participle. Cuando miramos la tabla de los verbos que normalmente tenemos a mano, está el verbo base, el simple past y el past participle. La tercera columna es el past participle. Y bueno, estamos visitando otra vez ese tema del past, del participle, pero en voz pasiva del simple present. Es un poco raro, ¿va? Porque lo vimos al revés. Vimos primero el past passive, eso lo vimos en intermediate. Si no estoy mal, el intermediate 3 de las primeras lecciones. Y acá estamos viendo el simple present passive. Ahorita, hasta ahora estamos viendo el simple present passive. Y hay algunas razones por las que eso es así, ¿verdad? Ustedes van a sentir que el simple present passive es un poquito más complicado de usar a veces. El past passive, cuando hablábamos de noticias, era como un poquito más fácil de intuitivamente saber para qué servía. El simple present passive nos va a llevar como por un camino de una explicación un poquito más larga, pero aún así, todas las lecturas que ustedes estuvieron haciendo hoy acerca de estas personas, hablando de su cultura, usaron past passive. Perdón, present passive. Por ejemplo, Korean food, we have so many different dishes. One typical dish is kimbap. It's made with rice, this is present passive, with vegetables and wrapped in dried seaweed. It's eaten cold. It's delicious. So if you see 3 times here, we see the present passive. We didn't notice. I mean, we understand the text. We didn't know it was present passive. It has a very specific function. Here, same thing. I'm gonna change the color maybe just to make it more evident. So, for example, Peru has some beautiful handicrafts. A lot of them are exported. I'm gonna change to highlighter here. Are exported. They are sold all over the world. These earrings are made locally. They are made with silver. So if you see 4 times we see here in this text people using the present passive. Still, I mean, we were able to understand the text, right? It wasn't that hard. It wasn't like crazy hard. Here, it's held every February. Let's see, are carved out of ice. They are carved by teams from all over the world. Just to give you some examples, these are all present passive sentences. And the present passive has a very specific function. We are going to revisit some of the ideas of the passive voice. Now you know about passive voice, so that makes it easier, right? So this is not completely new. You know what passive voice is about. We're just going to try to find the ways in which we can apply the simple present passive, not the past, the simple present passive to the description of places, cultures, and to talk about the things that we recommend to other people. So as I mentioned before, I'm going to have to finish the lesson a little earlier today because there is another business meeting that I have after this. So I'm going to have to let you go. But tomorrow we're going to revisit some of the simple present passive ideas. Some of these you already know, so that's a good thing. And then we're going to do some practice to see if you can first learn how to use it on your own to make descriptions really nice, like the ones that we just read. So if you pay attention, the way that this person is expressing, it looks very logical, right? Very coherent. So that's the purpose of the exercise. Like for you to try to make your expressions a lot clearer, like having more abilities to express your opinions in a more organized and a native-like way. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope that you're having a great start of the week. I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to let me know, okay? So have a great evening. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
ma'am. Thank you,
Bye-bye, guys.
teacher. Bye.
Bye-bye.